This video tries to explain how the Federal Reserve thinks. If you understand how the Federal Reserve thinks, you might be able to anticipate their next move, and this has implications for the way you invest and for your life. The Federal Reserve is composed mostly of academics, PhD academics. They spend much of their lives in academia, and they study theory, so they just do not use discretionary policy at will. What they do is they always base it on some sort of theoretical framework. Their mandate is a dual mandate: full employment and steady inflation. So the theory that goes along with this is, believe it or not, it's a theory going back to the 1800s of Knut Wicksell. Knut Wicksell, 1898, published a book, Interest and Prices, and he speculated that there was a hypothetical natural rate of interest that would keep the economy in money macroequilibrium. Austrian business cycle theorists like Mises and Hayek developed this into a business cycle theory, and Keynes initially accepted it in his treatise on money and then rejected it in his general theory. Well, there's been a resurrection of this theory in Michael Wolford's book, Interest and Prices, named after the original book. And the idea here is that when wages are perfectly flexible, you can achieve full employment and steady prices if you can empirically estimate the natural rate of interest. So the Federal Reserve is always trying to look at what this natural rate of interest is. It's an empirical hypothetical estimate. The issue is there's great discussion and diversion on what that interest rate actually is. Different models show different interest rates. I come from more of an Austrian school of thinking, and I believe that the natural rate of interest is mostly connected to Wicksell defined it as mobile free capital and newly created, and the rate of return on that. In German, it's translated to literally the natural capital rate. So it's like natural capital, as if money didn't exist. So it's very hard to estimate in an economy if money didn't exist. Now, the new thinking in the Federal Reserve, again, is not to target monetary aggregates like M2 and M1, and they don't look at the amount of money in circulation because they have this theory that money is created endogenously rather than exogenously. Exogenously being simply you print money, you create money, and the quantity theory of money is assuming such things as a fairly steady velocity, and when you create money, prices go up. An endogenous theory of money is it's created within the banking system and is based on this natural rate of interest. So the problem is, again, the natural rate of interest is misestimated by the Federal Reserve. I can say that fairly confidently. And this is creating a distortion in the intertemporal consumption of current goods versus future goods and savings. And whenever that happens, according to Austrian business cycle theory, you can initiate a business cycle. We don't know when this business cycle will occur, but typically it does distort the market. They're trying to create a money macroequilibrium, the Federal Reserve. This is how they're thinking. They've already achieved full employment, let's say. So now they're going to be looking at tapering inflation. And that will entail raising interest rates to bring it in line with what they believe is the hypothetical natural rate of interest. The issue with that is when you raise interest rates, typically there's an inverse relationship between interest rates and stock prices. And you have, if stock prices go down, you have a negative wealth effect. Right now, interest rates are so low, the stock market is the only game in town in a sense. Maybe some real assets like real estate. But there's no way to get a return if you're just an average saver. So everybody's putting their money in the stock market or real estate, real assets. If interest rates go up because they've already achieved their full employment mandate and they need to taper inflation, then the stock market, we can't predict the future, but most likely will go down. People's savings, they'll feel less wealthy, consumption will be curtailed back, and this could initiate a business cycle. So we're going to see this in the coming year if this narrative comes to fruition. But the way the Federal Reserve is thinking is, again, they're looking at this natural rate of interest, and they're trying to compare it with the amount of money being created endogenously in the system. I hope that's not too technical, but if you think about it, it gives a very good indication of where we're headed. Thank you very much.